Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member. Appreciate it.
Senator Ernst.
Okay, yes, I just want to expand upon that because so many members of the committee have asked about mentorship, and I want to make sure that once again I highlight the SCORE Act of 2023, which is seeking to strengthen mentorship and coaching opportunities for women, especially in our rural communities. Kathy, Ms. Cook, in your experience, what obstacles do women small business owners face when it comes to accessing the mentorship programs, and especially maybe in some of the rural communities?
Well, I did not know where to find one. Access to female mentors that understand my challenges from the time I started my company to the challenges that I still face today as a growing manufacturer. I need mentors that are more, like someone said earlier, I had a lot of male mentors early on because that's all they were. And I didn't even know there was such a thing as a coach. Mm-hmm. I didn't have access to that. So today, I do.
Did you, I'm sorry to interrupt, Ms. Cook, did you have experience with the SCORE program?
Yes, I did. Early on, they paired me up with an engineer that was about, a retired engineer. I was young in my career. He didn't understand anything about running a business, and he didn't understand anything I was trying to ask or say. It was just, it was so embarrassing for me that I just gave up.
Okay, and that's unfortunate. And I think it's important to point out when we do have failures in the system, and then how do we correct those failures? And I think that's why it's important that we continually take a look at the SCORE program and make sure that we're meeting the right fit with the needs of the individuals that are accessing the program. And I want to close with just a final question about childcare, and maybe you can just share your story as well, because I know probably a number of you have struggled with childcare, and many in our audience. And even as a young worker, I would take my daughter to work after hours because we didn't have access to non-traditional times. And I think we need to modify the way we think about childcare because not everybody works a 9-to-5 position. And having access after hours or before school, a lot of that is really important. But as a single mother with a young toddler, when you were working, what obstacles did you face when you were starting your business?
Finding the affordable childcare. So that's why she came to work with me. After school programs that I felt were good for her, not just a daycare, option, something that she could still excel and learn in. Even though bringing her to work with me, I felt like, now I learned later in life because my daughter is now she's a chemical engineer, and she is now a partner at one of the largest consulting firms and a young mother. And she's a female partner. So to me, it was probably bringing her here now I look back and think it was probably good for her to see a role model. Mm-hmm. However, I felt guilty when I was at work and she was with me working, mm-hmm. and I was not paying attention to her. So having those programs are so important. And they're also important for my employees. I said earlier, we partnered with this program to bring women off the streets and teaching them. Part of the problem is when we pay them a salary, and we pay twice the amount of our local Michigan wages to start with no experience. Mm-hmm. And they still can't afford childcare.
Wow, that is incredible. And Patrice, Ms. Onwuka, you had mentioned earlier as well, thinking about childcare differently. If you could just help close us out on how we should think differently about childcare.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ranking Member. Childcare is so important to women and women small business owners because many small business owners have children and they're trying to balance how they can raise their kids. But they're also employing, as my colleague here mentioned on the panel, they're employing workers who need childcare. And so, number one, I think we want to be careful about suggesting that there should be one-size-fits-all solution to childcare. Mm-hmm. I think daycare centers are one form of childcare. You also have in-home based childcare that a lot of parents would rather have someone in a home that they trust than, necessarily a daycare center. So we want to make sure that there are as many different types of options as possible. And I think you can do that through the tax code. I think you can do that through, different acts. So we talked about the Small Business Child Care Investment Act. I think that's a really smart way of looking at it. And then ensuring that the SBA provides those resources as a clearinghouse to where employers can find information about different child care options and resources to offer their centers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I want to thank again our four